Trying again. I think it's working this time. I think I've got you this time. Sorry about the connection issue. This is Véro. It's good to see you. I think it's working. Could you tell me if you can see me or see everything? Okay, I think we got it this time. Apologies for the rough start here. I am going to go in this place here because it's going to close at 5 p.m. This is the oldest operating covered market in Paris. It's called the Marché des Enfants Rouges, the market of the red children. And it's been here since the start of the 17th century. It's named after an orphanage for children that used to be in this area for more than 200 years. But right now it's a market, it's a fun market, but it's Sunday afternoon. The brunch crowd is about to disappear and they are going to close. So don't be surprised, a lot of it will be closed, but I just wanted to take you inside. You see the merchants are putting things away. You can come here and shop, but you can also come here and eat. They have a lot of deli sections. My favorite is this one. It's a Moroccan, Tunisian caterer. Couscous, tagine, you name it. They also have restaurants like l'Estaminet, which is fun. Not all of it is closed. Oh, I'm glad you can see. Perfect. They have burgers. Some of them are undergoing renovation here, apparently. So this is not much of a sight, but I wanted to take you through it. The Japanese caterer here. Yeah, I know it's now on a lot of people's charts because it's been featured prominently on social media over the last few years. It was completely renovated in the 1990s. So everybody has their favorite food places here. And it's a lively scene. It's only closed on Mondays, and there are several ways to enter it. It's a really lively scene. So I wanted to do that before doing anything else. I'm glad I was able to walk through it at least. I am standing in Paris, in the 3rd Arrondissement. You may know this arrondissement as le Haut Marais, the Upper Marais. Bonjour tout le monde, bonjour, welcome. This is Véronique Véro, welcoming you in Paris once again. Could everybody confirm or someone confirm that you can see and hear okay? Please? I think you can, but just in case. So this is one of the popular streets in this neighborhood. It's called La Rue Charlot. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, I appreciate that. It's called La Rue Charlot. And La Rue Charlot is one of the trendy streets in the 3rd Arrondissement, one of the most coveted ones in terms of real estate. Now, I thought that instead of taking you to the 4th Arrondissement, which is the traditional part of the Marais, I would take you here because the 3rd is up and coming and has been for a few years. Real estate here has become really beyond most people's reach, but it's a fun place to come. And I waited until Sunday because I did not want crowds here. On Saturdays, it tends to be very busy. But you can see signs. You can see signs of gentrification. This is a store, and you can see that they can afford to have a sign entirely in English. It's actually a quote from movie maker Agnès Varda, who is French, but it's entirely in English, and they can get away with it. You'll see that all over Paris now, but especially in Le Marais. So if you were looking at a map, you know the Marais already, the traditional part of Le Marais, where you have La Place des Vosges and so forth. And we are right north of that, right between that section of Le Marais and the Place de la République. I want to show you this little shop here, this restaurant. It's called He also has a restaurant that you can find right outside the market, and that's what I just showed you. I know we have some connection issues. I see it when it spins, and I try to slow down when that happens. Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue. Thank you for joining me on my Parisian stroll. So we are right now Rue Charlot, and we are crossing another popular street in this arrondissement in the third, which is called La Rue de Poitou. You can see it here. Now, if you come to this section of Paris in the third, you are going to see a lot of trendy boutiques. You are going to see a lot of art galleries like this one. So this is a very pleasant place to stroll. And in case you're wondering about those yellow cones on the street, this is part of the City Hall of Paris, making the sidewalks wider so Parisians can enjoy their city more. You may know that Mayor Anne Hidalgo was re-elected this summer, which guarantees she will be here for the Olympic Games in 2024 and past that as well. So now she's going to push through a lot of the things that she wanted to do in Paris. So people who don't have cars will likely be happy with these decisions. People who drive in Paris probably won't be. That's what it's been so far since she was elected the first time. So one of the effects of the COVID crisis is that some establishments did not reopen after the lockdown. And I was really sad to see that this cute little hotel, Hôtel du Petit Moulin, the market hall is the Marché des Enfants Rouges, Market of the Red Children. You'll find it easily. Bonjour, Woodenville. You'll find it easily if you look it up online. So this hotel is really cool, or was really cool, I should say. I can see it's all boarded up, so it clearly did not reopen. But what I want to point out is that it stands on the site of an old boulangerie, an old bakery. And that happens all over the Marais, where a lot of the facades are protected. So you will often see a boulangerie sign, and then inside it's a totally different type of shop. So this was a really cute little hotel. I was here just a few months ago. I don't know if it's because of the lockdown that they closed, but clearly it hasn't reopened. And that's a real shame. So right now we are Rue de Poitou. And we are going to turn into another street that's really well known in the third arrondissement, in this section of Le Marais, which is Rue de Saintonge. More coveted real estate in here. So just like the traditional part of the Marais, you would see a lot of beautiful buildings dating back to the 17th and 18th century. Those buildings we call hôtels particuliers, private mansions. But you will also see more humble buildings that came often after that. I hope to show you some of these doors if I see them, the beautiful doors. If I see them, I will stop. Anyway, it's Sunday, so keep in mind it's going to be very quiet, and that's the reason I chose Sunday. I didn't want to be walking around crowds. I'm wearing my face mask. So it's not quite what it looks like during the week. It's also a time of year when the Parisians leave on vacation, and this hasn't, let me tell you, the health crisis hasn't changed anything. Some people are staying at home, but a lot of people have left already. And typically the time period between July 15th and August 15th, Paris is a lot quieter. And this year especially, since we didn't get a lot of the tourists, it's going to feel very quiet in the next few weeks. This is the new Parisian terrace, La Terrasse, for restaurants and cafes. They have a special authorization of the city of Paris when they request it to spread out onto the street, you see. So this is where cars used to park. And some of them build a little bit of a kind of a little deck where they put their tables, and others just do it like this on the street. So this is a typical scene right now in Paris. And here we have a sign from the city of Paris. Mayor Hidalgo is letting us know, piétons is pedestrians, and she says, feel free to be at ease when you walk around here. We are making the sidewalks wider, so it's safer for you out here. So I think she wrote this while she was campaigning still, probably. But that's clearly what she's doing. Check out the Parisian pigeon on his window ledge over there. Just chilling. Now this is more humble real estate here, but not all of it is like this, of course. Look at this beautiful building at the corner of La Rue de Saint-Onge and the famous Rue de Bretagne, the street of Brittany. Look at this one. This is quite fancy. And this is 19th century right here. Now, La Rue de Bretagne is more or less the lifeline of this neighborhood. And it's very old, at least in its original section, which is down in that direction. This street was commissioned by a famous French king known as Henry IV. You may know him as the Vert Galant. He is the one represented on a statue on the Ile de la Cité at a famous square. He's also the one who commissioned the beautiful Place des Vosges. And he's the one who ordered for this street to be dug out, created, if you will, a long, long time ago. And then it grew and grew and grew. And today it's considered a very desirable place to live because in spite of the real estate prices, because it's a street that's kept a lot of the specialty shops that France is famous for. So the difference is the specialty shops are pretty high-end. So more and more with increased gentrification, more and more every year we see very high-end chocolatier, for example, the chocolate makers. We see high-end pastry shops. La Durée, which I see over there on the right-hand side. I don't know if you can see it. We're going to walk past it. La Durée is there as well. We have, what else do we have? We have Pierre Hermé. We have a lot of the best chocolate makers. La Maison du Chocolat is here, and pastry shops as well. So that tells you the clientele around here can afford these. The boulangeries are really good as well. So considered a very desirable place to live if you can afford it. And if you can't, you can come and visit, which is what I do. I like this building with its Egyptian flair. See this? There's a little bit of everything, huh? La Durée is right next to it. It's a very small La Durée, nothing like the one on the Champs-Élysées or the one by the Place de la Madeleine. It's also a cool neighborhood by French and Parisian standards because it has a lot of cafes. Good cafes that turn into restaurants as well. They're not always very cheap, but they're fun. You can sit outside a lot. One of the most popular ones is this one across the street. It's called the Café Charlot. The Café Charlot at the corner of Rue Charlot and Rue de Bretagne. It's very trendy, but it's very good. It's inside an old boulangerie. You have to go inside to see it, the floors, the metro tiles on the walls. Service is quite friendly, price is a little steep. And of course you have burgers and things like that, but it's a fun place to go if you've never tried Café Charlot for lunch or for an afternoon snack. Why don't I try to cross here without endangering my life? Voila. So Rue Charlot is also very, very popular. You have a lot of those former private residences from the 17th and 18th century and beautiful doors, Rue Charlot. And it goes all the way down there, connecting you to the older section of Le Marais, the 4th Arrondissement. So feel free to walk along Rue Charlot as well. So it's now after 5 p.m. in Paris, and some of these people have been sitting here for a while. The brunch crowd has now left. It's not unusual to see French celebrities at Café Charlot, French actors, etc. I see we have almost 100 people here. Can the phone be focused a bit more? I don't think so. I think it has to do with the cell signal. I'm sorry. Is everybody seeing it blurry? I don't think I can focus anything. It's the signal I'm getting. So here we are at the Rue de Picardie, and you have all these bicycles that you see in Paris now everywhere. Bike shops are everywhere as well, because somebody has to take care of all these bikes. And Anne Hidalgo, the mayor, is adding, oh, it is the cell signal then. Well, tell me when it gets not very stable. Ah, well, I'm doing my best. Maybe it's the phone that's not properly. You know what? Hold on just a second. I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. Sorry, guys. Who needs a selfie stick, right? Okay, sorry about that. I'll do my best, just the old-fashioned way. Is it a little better? Thanks, Jen. We discussed that on the call with the patrons, all the club members on Friday. Videos can be just like life, imperfect. It's better that way. Shaky and imperfect, just like life. In this little street, Rue du Forez, is a really cool little coffee shop I really like on the left-hand side over there. It's called Café Marlette, M-A-R-L-E-T-T-E. They have several locations, and they make really nice little French pastries, and their coffee is delicious. Okay, so here we are in a special place. Look at this building. The sun's hiding on me. Look at this building. Does it remind you of something? Bonjour, bonjour, welcome. For those who are just joining us, this is Véronique, Véro. And I am taking you on a stroll around the 3rd Arrondissement today. Thank you, Missy. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm shaky today. I didn't sleep very well, so maybe it's me. Maybe my arms are just shaky today. So this is known as the Carreau du Temple. Carreau like a square. C-A-R-R-E-A-U. A piece of tile, really. So the Carreau du Temple is a beautiful market. It's been here since the Middle Ages, but it was very different. Then it was an open-air market. And over time, of course, it transformed. At some point in time, there were several buildings here made of wood. And eventually they were taken down. But this market always specialized in fabric and clothing from the start. And in the 19th century, our old friend Napoleon III and Haussmann decided to turn it into a fancier place, you might say. And you can tell it's pure 19th century. You've got the steel and the glass. So the locals didn't care for it as much at that point because they missed the ambiance of the old market. So I don't think it was super successful after that. Eventually, it fell in a bad state of disrepair. The city, to protect it, had to declare it a historic monument of France. And it took forever for locals to decide what they wanted to do with it. So it went through an extensive renovation a few years ago, and it reopened, I believe, in 2014. So now what it is on the main floor, which you see here, which you can kind of guess, it's a place for exhibits. I was here a few months ago for a brocante, so that was lovely with those high ceilings and all the light coming in. And then underground, you can't see it, but when they renovated it, they actually dug out a floor underground. And so underground, you have several associations that are based there. And if you go, you can take a lot of classes. You can take dance lessons, you can take music lessons, you can do sports. So it's a really cool place that kind of anchors the neighborhood life in a rather grandiose setting, I must add. Now, in the 19th century, there were 6 of these. and only one remains. From the other side, it looks like two, but picture that there were 6 of these things, so I don't know how they fit them in here, but they did. It's changed a little bit now. Yes, well, you don't really dance upstairs, you dance underground, that, like I said, in the basement where they have all the associations, but still. So this neighborhood is a hip neighborhood and a lively neighborhood. Lots of young people come here, especially for the apéritif, late afternoon, which is why you see more and more bars and cafes and terraces sprawling out. If you come here on a Sunday between 10 a.m. and 3 or 4 p.m., it's a bustling scene. You will see some of that now, but it's getting later in the day. So I like to show you snippets of French life. I think that's what makes walks very interesting, see how people live as much as history and architecture. So I try to give you a little bit of a mix of everything. So the market is still there, you see it? Okay, the signal keeps disconnecting on me, so I reconnect every time, and hopefully in the replay it will go smoothly. Thank goodness for replays when you don't have a reliable cell signal. Bonjour, Lynn. I know you're in Hawaii. That's early for you. Here is another side of the Carreau du Temple, that old covered market that is now more of a cultural center. So here are some of the cafes I was telling you about, where young people hang out for brunch. Now it's 5:30 p.m. of course, so there's still people out. They'll be here probably until apéro. They went straight from brunch to apéro. That's a good idea. The metal shade at street level, I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, these. No, I don't think these move. I'm not sure they do. Maybe they do, I don't know. I haven't seen them out yet. But you can see this is pure 19th century architecture. Remember, this was built at the time of the Eiffel Tower as well. You can see the rivets. It's kind of the same type of technique and appearance. Yes, it is a beautiful building, isn't it? I don't know how Paris does it, but even on a Sunday afternoon, Paris is loud. Paris always surprises that way. All right, let's show you the back. I think you'll enjoy this view. How about this view? You can see it a little better from here. See? So this is called le Carreau du Temple. It's a market that's been here since the Middle Ages, and of course this is its newest version, completely rehabilitated in 2014 and before. It looks really good. Another site, another little peek at those terraces. Parisian life at its best. You can see, like I showed you earlier, now they've kind of scrolled over to this side of the sidewalk. And that's what's been happening since the deconfinement, because of social distancing. I guess they need to spread out more. I don't know how socially distanced they really are. Yes, it's very much industrial chic, the building, you're right. Now here's another pretty building. I want to show you this building. This is actually a school, and it's been here for a really long time. I'm going to give you, let's see if I look around. Let's do this. So, look at this beauty. Do you see the details on that facade? Yes, there is a cool vibe in Le Haut Marais in this neighborhood. Now, so this has been an art school for a really, really long time, but you can tell it was built at the turn of the 20th century because of the use of the brick and the use of the ceramic. This was the time of Art Nouveau still. And it says on the top there the old name, which was the name of the school, but because it's still a school, or at least I think it is, the French motto is Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité is over there. And of course, because we are in Paris, we need to have this. You recognize the crest of the city of Paris, the Seine River, the boat, and then the motto that says in Latin right above the boat, I don't know if you can make it out, it says Fluctuat net mergitur, tossed by the waves but never sinks or doesn't sink. This is the city of Paris. And you have that outside a lot of official buildings and some schools as well. For those of you who joined late, we are walking around the 3rd Arrondissement, the upper section of the beautiful Marais district, the trendy section of the Marais district. A mix of architectural styles, some private mansions dating back to the 17th, 18th century with huge doors, and then some buildings like these. Like in other sections of Le Marais, in fact. And this street is La Rue. I will show you the sign. I know some of you like to follow. So this is La Rue du Petit Thouars. This is where all those restaurants were, if you want to come back later. I saw somebody say the clarity of the video is better on the iPad, so you may want to do that, my friends. Nothing much I can do my end. I rely completely on cell coverage here. Now, here is the history part of the walk. Always history in Paris. In front of this beautiful wall, you see this wall? Oh, I know some people say good on my iPhone too, so iPhone, iPad seem to work. Okay, so it seems to be different for different people, basically. So this is a map of this old neighborhood. This map tells us that a long time ago, from the 12th through the 14th century, there was a massive, massive compound here called le Clos du Temple. You see the name here? That's what it looked like after the revolution or during the revolutionary years. But before that, in the 12th and 14th century, imagine a compound surrounded by high walls with one gate and a drawbridge. This is where the Knights Templars lived. Over 4,000 people lived within those walls, and the compound covered blocks around us. Blocks, like the whole area where we've walked. They had their own church, their own cemetery. They could live in complete autonomy, basically. And the Knights Templars, their story would be too long to tell here, but they were a military religious order that became increasingly powerful and wealthy all over Europe. And France, in Paris, this is where they were based. At first they collaborated with the kings of France, but then one king of France who owed them money, they acted as a banker to him, Philippe IV, Philippe the Fair, Philippe le Bel in French, did not want to pay them back. So he started persecuting them with the help of the Pope. Eventually the Knights Templars were eradicated. The trials were a bit of a joke. And Jacques de Molay, their last leader, was burned to the stake, or burned at the stake, is it? At the tip of the Ile de la Cité, where the Square du Vert Galant is here today. Not before, though, cursing the king and the Pope. And nothing good came out of that for the king or the Pope. So I won't go into details here. But What's really important about this is that this area was called le Temple, the temple. And during the revolutionary years, they used this compound to take King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette and their children and the king's sister and kept them in here while they were awaiting their trial. So between the fall of 1792 and early 1793, when the king was executed, they lived in the massive dungeon tower that now sits where now the city hall sits. Okay, so it became a bit of a symbol, this place. And a lot of people, royalists, used to come here afterwards, after the king and the queen had been executed in 1793. They used to come here. So Napoleon had it taken down. He didn't want it to become a symbol for the royalists. But everything in this neighborhood reminds you of the Knights Templars. The Carreau du Temple, the market we just saw, is named after the temple. We have la rue du Temple, the street of the Temple, and several other places that are named after it. So if you are into history, I urge you to look at the story of the Knight Templars. It's fascinating. Now, as you probably know, if you know le Marais, even the 4th arrondissement in le Marais, in the 19th century, le Marais went downhill fast and became a working class neighborhood. The aristocrats left at the revolution, the buildings were run down, and a lot of shops, factories, garages appeared all over the Marais. And back in the 1960s, it was nothing much anymore, when it was completely rehabilitated by the French government and became the pretty place that it is today. Now, when I walk around gentrified neighborhoods like Le Marais that have a very interesting story, I like when the past just pops up on you and you are reminded of what the neighborhood was like for a while. In the 19th century, you had factories around here. And if you walk, nobody will go into this street, I can guarantee you. But if you walk and look carefully in the side streets, even in this gentrified part of the neighborhood, you see the sign, it says Cité du Petit Thouars. Cité. La Cité is where a lot of working class people lived in the 19th century. And this is a dead-end street. I will not go down here because I know the cell signal is weak and I don't want to lose you. But if you walk along this street, you will see the old facades of the old workshops and the old factories. It's still there. And today, of course, some artisans work here and have taken over. But it's one way of seeing what Paris looked like, what this section of Paris looked like in the 19th century. So if you come here, try to go inside La Cité du Petit Thouars. You have those cités all over former working class neighborhoods in Paris, and see how this sign tells you that there is a woodworker, a cabinet maker working in the street. So the new generations have taken over, but this is a good way to be of being reminded about the working class roots of elegant neighborhoods or gentrified neighborhoods like Le Marais. More interesting architecture coming up on the left. Look at this building. A lot of detail on that facade. And the one on the left is really pretty. It is a kindergarten. You're going to see a fancy kindergarten. Let's see. Let the gentleman go. Merci. Look at this elementary school or kindergarten school. This is kindergarten. So in Paris, when you see brick like this, whether it's red or this ochre color, you know that this was built probably at the very beginning of the 20th century. But look how pretty this school is. Kindergarten. And again, you have the crest of the city of Paris, and the street is called Rue Paul Dubois. And over there in red is an official building, an archive building. So a lot of interesting things to see in Le Marais if you stray away, I should say, from the places where everybody tends to stay, which is La Place des Vosges, St. Paul Church. So just walk north towards Place de la République, and then you will see this section as well, le Haut Marais, the upper Marais. Now, if you come back here, I'm not going to be able to take you today. I see the door is closed. But I want you to cross the street over there and walk to that church. That church was built between the 17th and 19th century. It's called Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, and it was commissioned by a queen named Marie de Medici. This church is very interesting because on many levels, today there was mass like every Sunday afternoon for Chinese people in Mandarin. There is a big Chinese community people don't know about in this neighborhood. They've been here since the 1950s. But mostly what I'd like you to see is when you walk up those two red doors, that big red door over there in the center, on the right-hand side is a beautiful painting which I have shared on Facebook before. It's a painting that shows you a scene captured in that tower of the temple, of the compound, where the king, the queen, and their children were kept prisoners for many months, from 1792 to 1793 and later for some of them. And it's a moving painting of King Louis XVI, very dignified, saying goodbye to his family, the queen crying, the two children, and the queen's sister, Madame Elizabeth. So if you are ever in this neighborhood, do yourself a favor, walk through those red doors, and immediately when you enter on the right-hand side, look at that painting. History is nice, dates are nice, but I think it's better when you realize it happened to real people and the stories that happened at the time. And that's a story I really like. A sad one. Of course, the only family member in the king's family that made it out alive of the temple compound or the tower was their daughter, who was traded. She was kept hostage and then she was traded and sent abroad. She's the only one who survived. Her little brother died in jail. Marie Antoinette was executed. And Madame Elizabeth, the Queen's sister, was also executed during the Revolution. It's a very sad story all around. So now we are, you'll never guess, on a street named Rue of what else? Du Temple, named after the temple. And that street, which continues all the way over there in the back, this street, Rue du Temple, is well known for all of its goldsmiths. Traditionally, there's been a lot of goldsmiths in that street, and you can see why. I told you the Knights Templars were incredibly wealthy. And today you can still see a lot of jewelry shops there, though most of them are wholesale, so the tradition endures. So I see we've been walking for almost 40 minutes, and I'm going to wrap up in a few minutes so I can go on another little walk with my club members, the good people who help sponsor Friends with Véro and enable me to do all these walks and report on my Parisian life and travels. I'm going to meet them in our private Facebook group in a few minutes, and I will be taking them into this lovely garden known as le Square du Temple, and yes, the garden too is named after the Temple. If you'd like more information about how to join the club, it's really easy to do. The cost of a glass of wine a month gets you in. Look me up on Patreon, patreon.com/FrenchGirl in Seattle. All the information will be in the video notes anyway. So we are back on la rue de Bretagne, where the market of the red children, le Marché des Enfants Rouges, is located. Sorry, we had some connection issues at the beginning, and apparently it was a little skippy for some people. I see I only have 33 likes, and I have 106 people connected. Please give me some likes. Apparently, Monsieur YouTube likes that a lot. It makes me look good with Monsieur YouTube. Merci beaucoup for doing that. I will wrap up outside the city hall of the 3rd arrondissement, which is beautiful, and show you one last thing there. Yes, I agree, Bob. Le Sancerre is a great restaurant. I've been there several times. I'm glad you enjoyed your walk. Don't worry, Andrea, it's okay. So this is maybe my last stroll in Paris for a little while. Maybe I'll have time to squeeze one more in at the end of next week, or this week I should say, since the week has started, American style. Because after that I'll be traveling around France again. I'm continuing my travels in Western France all the way to the south. So that's another good reason to join the France with Véro Club, because club members will be treated to a lot of exclusive content during my travels, photos, videos, chats, who knows what else. Here is Le Sancerre, that's a great place. The tile floor in there is just to die for. So lots of good, the Café de la Mairie next to it is also a good place. Here is the beautiful city hall of the 3rd arrondissement. So as you probably know, something changed recently after the municipal elections this summer. They have now created a brand new administrative entity called Parisian, Paris Center, that combines Arrondissement 1, 2, 3, and 4 with just one mayor. So that's going, I think they're doing this to save some money. So that's going to be interesting. And the mayor who's been selected to do that, 1, 2, 3, 4 Arrondissement, is actually the mayor of the previous mayor of the 4th arrondissement. He seems to be a very nice guy. Okay, I'll say a little goodbye in front of this beautiful Carreau du Temple, where I'm about to go with my patrons in about 5 minutes. We'll hop, guys, if you listen to me, we will hop onto the Bonne de Véro Facebook group, and that's where I'll start that other chat. I'm going to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you for following me today, for putting up with the self-coverage issues and who knows what else. My mask is sliding down, not good. I hope you've enjoyed the walk in the Haut Marais in the 3rd arrondissement. There is a lot to do and see here. Many great museums are based here as well. The National Archives. So look it up next time you're in Paris if you haven't yet. Go to the Marché des Enfants Rouges and get some great food there. Alain Miam Miam, the sandwiches and all that. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and my patrons, club members, I will see you in about 5 minutes inside this lovely park. À bientôt les amis.